Good evening, everyone. I am Cheryl Kennedy Heidel, the director for the School of Communication and Design, and I am delighted to welcome home Rene Sanchez, who is a 1987 graduate from this dynamic and wonderful institution. But tonight we have a short Q&A with our incoming editor, Gabby Killett, who has some, I think, very thought-provoking questions to ask. Yeah, no, I told you that. The new editor of the Times-Picayune, The Advocate. So with that, I will turn the floor over and mics over to Gabby and Rene.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We're so excited to welcome home Rene. I can't believe that I am an incoming editor for the same paper that Rene Sanchez worked at. It's really quite amazing. So to start, Rene, do you still wish that you're Maroon editor, right?
No comment.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just kidding.
Well, just talking about being a part of the Maroon and, being back in the space that you were in, during your time here, tell me a story from being in this office. I'm sure you have a lot.
I think I slept over there one night.
All right.
Or more. No, this time is very vivid and very memorable because in those early years of journalism, gosh, it's such an immersive experience. I probably spent 70% of my college time in this room. It's like your dorm, it's like your frat sorority, that kind of practical experience and learning the craft and learning kind of the values that should fuel the craft. You really do. Even though the years pass, you draw on those lessons for a long time. But it's quite strange in a good way to be in a place where you have so many memories when you're just kind of just starting to figure out the profession. And it's actually funny because somewhere I just saw her a minute ago, Leslie Parr, longtime faculty member. She was the advisor when I was just a knuckleheaded 19-year-old. So it's kind of fun to just have all those memories come back. So
yeah, I can imagine. So now that you are here, now that you are home, and you've been away leading journalists on a national front, leading us here at the Maroon, what is it like to be back home?
Gosh, I wrote a little column the other day, and I thought, just introducing myself to readers, and I thought hard about what to say. And one of the things I put in there is that professionally, nothing could be more meaningful than doing something like this. We're fighting for a lot in journalism these days, and it takes a lot of your time, it takes a lot of your fortitude, and there were other opportunities that I think I could have pursued, but this is the one that I knew I could pursue with my heart, not just my head. And so to be back home and squaring up to the challenges that media has in this culture we're in is really meaningful. It's a heck of a challenge, but there's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity to take a stand for real journalism.
So with those goals in mind, how has your experience elsewhere really prepared you to be a part of news here in New Orleans?
Well, I think there's been a lot of hard lessons over the last decade or so in newsrooms around the country. And I think there's a lot of lessons of exactly what not to do. If you expect to retain readers' trust, their loyalty, you can't fake it. You cannot have a clickbait strategy. You cannot cut your way to progress and coverage. If newsrooms are going to thrive, they're going to thrive on the support of a community like this one. And a community like this one is not going to be attracted to anything else but serious, in-depth, locally committed journalism. And I think a lot of newsrooms had to learn that lesson the hard way. I've been very fortunate to be in newsrooms that I think, held fast to those kinds of priorities, those kinds of values, because I have just seen it over and over again. The platforms change, right? 1 minute it's a desktop, 1 minute it's your phone, 1 minute it's Instagram. The platforms will continue to change, and we have to innovate and chase, get to know those platforms well. But it all starts and ends with the quality of your journalism, and it's not, you can't worship the platform. You have to focus on the journalism itself, and even as you innovate, and for a community, I just think your journalism just has to be like a rock in the tide of things, and so that it can be essential to a community's understanding of itself.
So, with that important quality of journalism in mind, what are your goals for the Times-Picayune moving forward?
Better coverage, better coverage, better coverage. And hold me to it. No, honestly, I should say, just as an aside, now I'm not evading your question, just to be clear. No, you know what, first of all, I should, thank you all for being part of this. It's incredible to see a turnout like this, and to see, in so doing, coming out on a busy weekday, the kind of commitment you all have for real journalism and journalism that matters in a community. And so I really appreciate this showing, and you all should hold a newsroom and these newsrooms to the highest standards, and shouldn't be shy about expressing challenges to the kind of content we should provide. I would say that, first on the list is always going to be public service coverage. Are we shining light on issues that matter in your lives, your neighbors' lives, your family's lives? And that's always going to be job one across the board, whether it's politics, education, the environment, healthcare. And so, the core question for me is that in all of these subjects that matter so much in people's lives, how can our coverage get deeper, stronger, and more compelling across all platforms? But also, too, it doesn't end with that. I mean, we need, people ask me sometimes, like, I was lucky enough to come from the newsroom, the Star Tribune newsroom, which adapted a strategy similar to this one now, but just deeper 7 to 8 years ago. And quite fortunate, as I left, we had about 110,000 digital subscribers along with all the print subscribers. And people sometimes say, well, how did you get to 110,000? And, there's no magic formula. It starts with real journalism and that public service mission. But you have to make sure that you're really reflecting the sense of place, and that the readers can see their community and their culture and their own sort of values in what you do. And so I don't think it's a one-track thing. I think it's a public service mission, but it's also like a sense of place mission, and to sort of bring out the culture and people of a place, and not be shy about sort of celebrating that culture and people, So I'll be busy.
Yeah, I can imagine. You already are. So in addition to all the alumni that are here, there are also some students here as well, looking up to you, looking up to what you can do at the paper. What would you tell a young journalist that is starting their career as somebody who is where you are right now at the point in your career?
That's a great question. I would say to any student who thinks at this point in time, like, I wonder if this is a rewarding profession. All right. It is. It's a hard profession. You have to stand for something in this profession. And I would say don't expect it to be easy, but I would say you are fighting for something that is immensely valuable to a community. And there's just no substitute for young people who are committed to a community by wanting to get to the full truth of the stories that matter in people's lives and sort of express that in their craft, whether it's writing, photography, broadcast, visual things. And so I guess I've said that to students before, which is that it is very rewarding, but realize you have to stand for something. And don't do it if you think it's going to be just sort of easy, or that your values can twist in the wind as different things change. Stand for something, stand for media that matters and that has its priorities straight in terms of like community and public service. That means you too.
I'm doing my best. What can I say? So with that in mind, and talking about, young, bright people like myself.
There you go. She's
But-
going to be working with us this summer, so.
But also, like you, Rene, your first job, if I'm not mistaken, was at the Times-Picayune.
That's correct, yeah.
And so what is it like to have gone through that, come full circle, essentially, to be where you are right now?
Yeah, it's a little surreal, I'll tell you. My first job, when I was a freshman at Loyola, I started classes here, and I also started working at nights as a clerk in the sports department, doing the stats and all the things on the back page of the sports section. And, slowly but surely got the opportunity to write. And, it's amazing. I think when I look back at that time, sometimes I wish somebody had told me that what I try to tell students now, which is that, even the smallest stories matter, like work your craft and understand and be open to, the judgments of the veterans who have come before you. And so I feel like I was very lucky to have a faculty here. I mentioned Leslie, who stopped us 20 times probably from doing stupid things with the Maroon.
Thanks, Juicy.
And you learn, and so it's the other thing you think too is like, wow, was that really 35 years ago? Like,
So wrapping up, one incoming editor to another, what do I need to know?
Well, first of all, what you need to know is never turn your back to people, because you never know. Like the first rule of editing is like you always want to know like who's around. That's right.
I see him.
Empathize with your staff. Reporting is hard work. It's never been harder, right? Social media is a toxic environment, and sadly, reporters just take a beating on that platform. And so I think it starts with, empathizing with what your staff is up against when they're putting themselves out into what can be sort of a skeptical or mistrustful public or worse. And, the second thing I would say is that, it is, like I said, no matter how the platforms change, it is about the quality and fairness and depth of the story. And so always sweat the stories. Always sweat the stories. And
take
you'll
notes.
be
Where's my
fine.
pen?
There you go.
Wait,
There you go.
wait.
Well, we'll be talking more. So.
All right, that sounds great.
Thank you. Great questions. Is that it?
Yes, that is. Thank you
Thank
guys
you
so
very
much for
much.
coming. We're so happy to have you, Rene, and we're so proud of you.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate it.